Coming to you live from the Red Room. It's the 10 Point Podcast. My name is Bruce, and I've bought myself a new podcast. Some people say the last host killed all of his co-hosts one episode, and the show is built on some sort of witch's burial ground with a gateway to hell. Hey, I've got an idea. Let's get a couple of beers and head outside to play. Sleeping in my podcast was one I opened tonight. First, Jody doesn't like him. It's Chris.
Oh, that's what I was going to say. Jody doesn't like you, Bruce.
And secondly, get a grip on yourself. You sound like some kind of psycho weirdo. It's Andy.
Yep, standard.
That's literally the one quote I was able to lift out of the whole thing. We are the 10 Point Podcast. You can find us on all your podcast apps. Just type in 10 Point Podcast and you'll find us there. You can get us on social media, on Twitter and on Facebook, 10 Point Podcast on there as well. And we're also on YouTube. Our channel over there is 10pointpodcast.com. Give us likes, subscribes, thumbs up,
Money.
all that sort of stuff. All that on all these.
Love.
And you can join our cult over at 10pointpodcast.com where, yes, you can donate money for us to spend on whatever we want to spend on. The list has just gone before me there. Donate button on 10pointpodcast.com along with other bits and pieces. That's your hub for
suggestions,
all your podcast needs and suggestions. This is our fourth spin on the wheel, I think. So
yeah.
We're getting through them. The wheel is mighty big, but the odds are the same for every film that's on it. So some more recommendations and we'll stick them on the wheel. I think that's everything I usually say, all that sort of stuff. So, what have we been watching in the last week before we get on to the point of the podcast this week? I know what the other two chaps have watched because I also saw the same thing. So, you guys went together, which I'm intrigued.
We did, yeah.
Well, but
for
the
first
tale.
time in 3 years.
So, what did you see and tell us about it?
Well, I went to go see Venom 2 at the cinema. Like the first cinema trip in ages.
What do you think the last thing you saw was? Just for out of interest.
It was either Venom or Avengers Endgame. I can't remember which came out first.
That's a good one. Yeah, I don't know what was first. But yeah, it's a couple of years, certainly, yeah.
I like to say it's Venom, so the last thing I went to see was actually the first thing I went to see. So there you go. See Venom. Yeah, but Venom 2, I enjoyed it. It's far, far too short, though. We could have padded that out an extra half hour and it would have been a lot better. But yeah, I think it came out of the cinema feeling unfulfilled, but it's still good.
What about you, Andy?
I'm kind of a Chris. It was a really wham bam thank you ride. It was like the bits that I was bored with they did in the first one, and then all the new bits I was like, I want more of that, and it was just like, nah, you're not getting more of that. Oh, the film's over. I was like, all right, thank you. And I love Woody Harrelson. He is epic.
Oh no, I'm the opposite.
Yeah, you're a season ticket holder for Woody Harrelson films, Andy. I think like him and Ryan Reynolds. When they're in a film, you go see it. It seems to be the thing.
He can play creepy. He can play happy. But he played a proper psychopath amazingly well.
I feel like he was also playing approximately 20 years younger than he actually is in this film.
For some reason.
I do not see them as a couple in any way whatsoever. Yeah. I went to see it as well. I went independently of the other two, and I think the hour and a half runtime that it is, I think that's what makes it. I think this film I cannot say it's a good film. It's not good, but I absolutely enjoyed myself. Like I had fun. I had a smile on my face. I laughed. I enjoyed the action bits. People keep slating the CGI, but I think CGI was actually
I thought it was pretty good.
Yeah.
Like the only dodgy bit I would say is when Venom's at a nightclub. It looked a bit weird.
Yeah. Well, that's weird anyway. Yeah. But no, I think the fact that it's 90 minutes, 100 minutes long, I think it just flies by. And I didn't need any more than that. I thought it was fun.
Nah.
I don't need a love story any more than there was in the film. I don't need any sort of.
I just wanted more Tom Hardy and Venom.
Yeah.
Yeah. The best
Tom Hardy talking to himself is brilliant.
Yeah, the scenes where it's just him are the best scenes, and it's a lot of fun. And I would recommend it. I watched the first one the night before, and I think
that's still better.
I came out of the cinema thinking, oh well, that was weird, but I think I quite liked it. I think I've now seen it at least 2 times since. It might be more. I think I like it even more and more every time I see it, and it probably is one of my favorite superhero films. It's the first Venom now, so yeah, I would agree. I think it's better too. Anything else from you guys? Anything else that you watched in the last week?
No, apart from this, about 6 times.
Yeah, we'll get on to that, I'm sure.
I watched Halloween Kills.
Halloween Kills, the latest.
Which is the same as Halloween. Which is probably the same as Halloween H2O and Halloween whatever. Pretty much every Halloween film is the same.
When they have literally the same bad guy, it kind of has to be quite similar, doesn't it?
I mean, this is a proper carbon copy of their reboot trilogy. Or whatever it is, or continuation trilogy is the same film.
it's the hardest multiverse to keep track of. Is Halloween. Yeah, I think it goes the OG Halloween, then Halloween from a couple of years ago, then this. This is actually part 3. So yeah, so I guess a thumbs middle.
Special. Yeah, it's all right. It's worth a watch. It's Halloween, isn't it?
It is what it is.
Yeah, I watched the sequel, the one before the one you watched. I watched that this week as well, and yeah, it's just like it's the same. It's fine. I quite liked the soundtrack. They took the Halloween music, which
it's been ramped up now,
and they made it more funky. I don't know what you would call it, better synthy. But yeah, a thumbs up. I do like the Halloween films that I've seen. I believe I have seen 3 of them, and I've liked all of them. But there's about 100 of them, and they all go like that. So yeah, all very good. I watched one other film this week on the ones mentioned. I watched Fantastic Mr. Fox because I'm carrying on watching all the Wes Anderson films. It's amazing. Honestly, if you've never seen it, I'd give it a bash. Chris is shaking his head. He may have seen it before.
Yeah, the girls wanted to watch it, and it was utter bollocks.
I thought it was amazing. It's a kid's film, but it's not. Like if you actually pay attention to what's happening in the story, it's not a children's story. It's like a proper. It's like I don't know. It's like an old Western mixed with like I don't know, sort of a heist movie. It's like Ocean's 11. Obviously, George Clooney's in it as well, but he's a fox. And it's really weird. They say the word cuss all the time. So instead of there's no swearing in it, they just say cuss instead. Yeah. But they cuss all. They say cuss all the time. the amount of suggested swearing that there is in that film is amazing. But yeah, it was not what I thought it was going to be. I really enjoyed it. So yeah, I'd give that a thumbs up. Chris gives it a thumbs down clearly. But yeah, I've been a whole bunch of mixtures. So I thought I wanted something that wasn't a kind of horror movie this week. So I went for Mr. Fox.
But it's horror season, and it's all randomest knows it.
It did, yeah. It had a choice of about 100 films, and it picked out possibly the most horror that we had on the wheel.
I can't believe how well this wheel's working out. It's like fitting in perfectly.
I know. Some people may say I rigged that wheel, but I hadn't.
I think I had 3 guesses last time for what the Random Wheels theme was for all its films. I think this fits in with all 3 guesses, which I will get on it. Is that it for the last week? Everything that we have watched?
Aye.
I finished Squid Game. I really like it. I want a season 2. Don't know what's happening with his red hair.
Yeah, pretty much.
That's my summation of the last episode.
And let's hope it's not a 10-year wait like these first season to come to do.
Right. Yeah. Good point. Yeah. Right. Cracking on with point number 1 on the 10-point podcast. What is the point? The point this week is the 1979 horror, the Amityville Horror. The original version of that. There has been several remakes, Halloween style, of that since. We're going for the original 1979 Amityville Horror, brought to us by American International Pictures, which we have never covered before, and they seem to have only done this and Mad Max and nothing else of any note. And I mean just period, just the first Mad Max, none of the sequels. So yeah, not a massive production house. Based on the book called The Amityville Horror by Jay Anson, with a screenplay written by Sandor Stern, and neither of whom have anything really of note to mention beyond that, and directed by Stuart Rosenberg, who was the director of Question 7, a film, 19 episodes of The Defenders, the movie Cool Hand Luke, and then Amityville Horror, and again, nothing else of note. So Cool Hand Luke probably is.
Before you get too far away here, my mind's been blown a bit. So this was real, like Amityville Horror was real. That shit happened in 1974. This film came out 5 years later, and some bellend had wrote a book in between it and a screenplay. It's like, how cold were all them bodies? I bet they were still warm when they were writing the fucking book.
Well, the thing is that this happened in 1974, but when did the original murders happen a couple of years before that, or is that has anyone got
like a thing with the writers or the book or something like that just sat there and made it up?
That's what we're going to get on to, yeah. So the original murders did happen. The DeFeo family murders that we see at the beginning of the film, that actually happens. Quick, this isn't a trivia question like that. How old do you think the person was that was doing the murdering?
I'm going to say 17.
22.
20. Now, I felt at the beginning, okay, it's the dad that's doing the murdering. And then I turned out, oh no, he's not. He's killed his mum and dad at that point. Yeah. So I literally had to stop the film and do some research to find out who actually, because obviously I've got the death count. So I have no idea how many people were in that building, who he killed, how he did it, what sort of. So yeah, so 20-year-old eldest son of a family killed his 2 brothers, 2 sisters who were both younger than him, or all younger than him, and his mum and dad. So yeah, that happened, and then 2 years later or something like that, I think it was a month after the guy got sentenced for the murders, they moved into the house. Like, it was, he did the murders the November of the next year, but 12 months later, he was put away, and then in December, they moved in. Then they were in there for a month, and then, like you say, 5 years later. But as Chris says, the suggestion has long been that the writer of the book, whose name I've got written here, Jay Anson, sat down with Mr. and Mrs. Lutz, and they just made the whole thing up as a money-making scheme, is the suggestion. So,
Zach Bagans been there, and there were spooks.
well, yeah, maybe that might have been the case. But yeah, I saw somewhere that there've been several people who've lived in the house, including a couple who lived there for 10 years, and they absolutely nothing of any sort of spookiness happened.
Tell you what, if I bought that house, shit would be happening because I would.
Well, so very similar to the Lutzes, I would say. Yeah, oh, I've got opportunity. Yeah, so based on a true story that may or may not be fiction, they did in fact live in the house for a month. That part is true. On to the cast then. So, as George Lutz, we have James Brolin. He is the father of Josh Brolin, before you ask.
Daddy Thanos.
Yes, Daniel Thanos. And he's married to Barbara Streisand, which I did not know. I did not know they were married.
Was he?
Yeah, I believe she is not Josh Brolin's mother, but I could be wrong. James Brolin, is famous for being in Marcus Welby MD television series, then being in the original Westworld from the 1970s, not the new one, Capricorn 1, then he was in Amityville Horror, and since then his big things have been a TV show called Hotel, and then Traffic and Catch Me With You Can in the 2000s are his big ones, James Brolin. James Brolin, in fact, still alive at the age of 80 plus at this point. Starring as Kathy, we've got Margot Kidder, famous for being in Black Christmas. Crazy. The first 4 Supermans, and the Amityville Horror, and that's pretty much where her kind of career ended in terms of big time thing. Because she's a bit crazy. She passed away earlier not this year, 3 years ago. 2 years ago she died. Somebody related to this died this year, and I can't remember who it was. It may have been George Lutz, the actual real life one. Somebody important. I saw they died 6 months ago at time of recording. And the final person who was billed before the title card came up, as Father Delaney, we have Rod Steiger. From On the Waterfront, Al Capone, the Pawn Broker, Dr. Zhivago, In the Heat of the Night, which he won the Oscar for Best Actor for, Waterloo, Fistful of Dynamite, then Amityville Horror, and since then he was in Mars Attacks and End of Days, which are 2 films that I recognise.
I recognise those two.
Yeah, I'm not my pre-1980 cinema knowledge is not the best, so yeah, Mars Attacks and End of Days. So they are 3 stars of the film. On a budget of $5 million, Amityville Horror opened in the US for $8 million. Final US gross, $86.5 million. In 1979, it made a profit of $81 million. That's a lot of money. Worldwide, I don't know. It got a UK release, it got a worldwide release, but I don't have numbers from that anywhere on the internet. Everything just has the US one. And here's something for you. James Brolin, he took a smaller upfront fee with a promise of 10% of the gross. So guess what?
Nice.
Raking in it still.
As always, when this happens, he received $17 million as a payment, which in today's money is roughly $60 million he got paid to be in this film. Which that's MCU money, that sort of stuff. But yeah,
hey Chris, we're going to hunt your house up and write a story about it.
Oh, you don't need to. I'm sure it is haunted actually, because I started watching this film, and as I watched it, a card fell off the wall, and I just shit myself.
Get out!
Not quite, but I was watching it. Was Nick in the house? I think I might have been watching it myself. And then as it fell off, I just jumped at the window. So yeah, it might be haunted. Plus, I could mention off screen, it is technically a haunted house because the previous occupant died in the living room. So.
Was it a murderous age? Was it?
No, it was old age.
Old age. Okay.
Oh,
it's not. It's
a young person who mysteriously murdered for the book purposes.
Okay then, back on to the fake haunted house, not Chris's real haunted house that he has. Released 27th of July 1979. Like I say, the UK it released in the January the year after, but it's a summer movie for the US. So therefore, it qualifies for the 1980 awards season, but also a 1979 one later on that I'll get to. 1980 Oscars. It appeared there, nominated for Best Original Score. This film did. However, it lost to a film called A Little Romance, which I'm not too much aware of. Also nominated at the 1980 Golden Globes for Best Original Score. However, Amityville Horror lost to Apocalypse Now. Now, that film I have heard of, and that does have good
That's
music.
a worthy winner.
exactly. And our new favourite awards, the 1980 Saturn Awards, because every film we ever do gets mentioned at the Saturn Awards. Nominated for Best Actress, Margot Kidder was. She lost to Mary Steenburgen in the film Time After Time. Random off podcast, I realised I mentioned Back to the Future, so she's in Back to the Future 3. She's Doc's wife in that. And also nominated at Saturn Awards, nominated for Best Horror, Amityville Horror, but it lost to Dracula. That's the Frank Langella one. Yes, Frank Langella last episode. Random movie connections that happen every week on here. Amityville Horror also received 4 nominations at the 1979 Stinkers Bad Movie Awards, which seems to be the kind of, I don't know, precursor / rival to the Razzies. Nominated for Worst Actor, obviously James Brolin. Nominated for Worst Actress, Margot Kidder. She lost to Barbra Streisand. Strange. And
connections here.
Linking this all together, even more connections. Nominated for Worst On-Screen Couple were James Brolin and Margot Kidder. They lost to Ryan O'Neal and Barbra Streisand in the same film. So it's like, oh, madness. Another nomination was Worst Supporting Actress, Helen Shaver. She was Carolyn, the medium sort of, I don't know, the one with psychic powers. None of them won. They did not win any of these awards. These are all just nominations, but no winners / losers for anything involving the film. On to our synopsis. And making a gigantic great return to the podcast, Nick has written a synopsis for the Amityville Horror. And again, I've not read this. In total disregard of the shocking rumours about the grisly DeFeo murders, the young married couple, George and Kathy Lutz, along with the 3 kids, move into the seemingly ideal and above all surprisingly affordable colonial house in Amityville, New York. However, before long, inexplicable occurrences and disturbing incidents start to blemish the Lutz's noble desire for a peaceful new life, as the house's evil gradually erodes the personalities of the once happy family, transforming the idyllic home into a nightmarish portal to hell. Now, as a mysteriously sullen George obsessively sharpens his axe, the local priest, Father Delaney, begins to realise that, indeed, satanic forces are at work. Can they escape from the diabolical Amityville Horror, he said the thing at the end. That's a synopsis of the film.
See, I want to write a synopsis, right? IMDb synopsis for me would be some random dude kills his family, somebody buys a house cheap, scary shit happens, they leave.
They run away. Yeah,
that is a better synopsis.
That's what happens. Yeah, again, Nick had his thesaurus out there, but really high numbers of.
I feel like Chris should. This could be a new Chris segment for the next season. He has to write a Scottish version of an IMDb synopsis. So
you know, really what to happen is I want somebody to like watch this and be like, I'm going to find a synopsis. I'm going to write it for Bruce. And just like. Slag him off through it, and it's just like, and he reads it, I was like, oh shit.
Yeah, Bruce, what a bellend written in
yeah, just out of nowhere. The Amityville is a horrible house, but Bruce is a dick. And then the house started doing other stuff.
Yeah, because the way to do it, just write the biggest one, because normally I look at it, just take it. Anyway, who picked this one? The wheel did, the random wheel of randomness with films on it. We think Rachel, is that right, Chris?
I think so.
We think Rachel was the one who.
I've lost a list of all the films that people gave me.
So we think she voted for it and it spun it on the wheel. I had never seen it before.
Not me either.
I've seen it.
You've seen this one before?
Aye. It comes as a twin pack of the Ryan Reynolds one.
Right, okay. I didn't realize you'd seen it before. Okay. So Andy's seen it before. I normally, what channel would this be on? This feels like a Channel 4 to me, but I could be wrong.
Channel 4, yeah, definitely.
Channel 4. Okay then. On to point 2 on the podcast, the high points. What we thought the best things and bits were. Does anyone... Well, actually, I will start because I've literally got the beginning of the film, as in, not the credits and the music, which, Andy, any opinions?
Way too long.
Yep. As all
creepy music.
Creepy
music was pretty banging, but yeah, fucking hell.
But yeah, the
There's
first
not that
thing...
many people in the film. They definitely made credits up.
Yeah. Okay, yeah. The first thing I've got, it must be a good plan. Shooting a gun in a thunderstorm is genius, I think. So I don't know if the devil made me do it, all that sort of stuff. Which, in fact, before we get any further, because I've got it at the start of low points, but I should mention it here. It's going to be tough for us to really critique the movie too much because all weird decisions and changes in characters can be like explained away by, oh, they were possessed by the devil at that point, or they don't know what they were doing at that point. So for most time, I'm going to complain to people being idiots. And yes, it could have been the devil making them do it and all that sort of stuff. But that's my disclaimer. We know they could be possessed, but why this and why that is still going to happen. But yeah, shooting a gun in a thunderstorm is a brilliant way to get away with murder, and I've kept that one for future use.
I panic every time there's a thunderstorm now.
I know. It's like, fuck, he's coming through the door now.
Have another early one unless someone wants to jump in with something that happens.
No, my next one's not until the priest comes in. Like that whole thing where you get the first taste of the evilness of the house.
Right,
and then kind of on edge from that moment on.
It's a very, very kind of creepy sort of feeling in there. But yeah,
like you kind of mentioned it, like the music at the start, like build up on this film is really good. It's like, ooh, something like everybody knows Amityville Horror. So even if you haven't seen it, it's like, scary shit's going down. But the music just like goes, it's scary shit going down.
Yeah, it certainly it creates tension.
But then it does outstay its welcome very quickly, which is a low point as well.
Exactly, because they have the one tune. At one point later, the different one. But yeah, it's that same, and it seems to be anything it cuts to a different day. It's the music starts again. But my other high,
I literally was humming it before, but I completely forgot the tune now.
My other high early point is again, I jumped up and cheered when immediately in this film, James Tolkien appears back to back.
I know. That's coming up later on. Don't worry. Obviously.
That was a high point for me. And I was like, oh my god, I didn't realize he was in this. I went to look and I was like, oh, he's like plays about the 20th in the billing, and that's the only scene he's in. The entire film is the first kind of scene where you see people talking. But yeah, that was I got very excited in the early. It's a great idea, and yes, James Tolkien. Because I thought he was a cop in the beginning. I was like,
yeah, so did I.
No, actually, a policeman. I thought he was the one trying to catch the house. Speaking of the house, and speaking of the music coming back again. High point. I love how the house looks like a face behind Andy.
Yeah, the red eyes are creepy, like the windows even.
Yeah, it's amazing. However, by the 100th time I saw the house, I'm like, okay, right, what it looks like. Stop showing me the face every single day. And it's the 10th day, and it's halfway through the day, and it's nighttime now. Oh, this is outside of the house looks like that wore thin.
It's why my number one rule is never buy a house that looks like a face. Evil shit's going down.
It's already possessed and look like that. But yeah, that's me in terms of early high points. Is that?
I've got a general one, which is the jump scares. It wasn't ones that were supposed to be jump scares. It was random things like a cat jumping out the window, or Kathy waking up in the middle of the night just screaming, "She got shot in her head," and then falling asleep.
I suffered from my usual thing of quiet in the early going. So I was like, I sawed it, right. I'll put my headphones on. I watched my headphones. When she screamed that's because it peaks the microphone as well. So it's like, sitting, taking my headphones off. But yeah, that was.
I watched this at 9 o'clock in the morning, so it was not terrifying. Even jump scares didn't get me.
No, I did, like, because I was trying to watch it late at night. I had the volume quite low, but then I couldn't hear what I said, so I banged it up to 10, and she just went, "Ah!" I fucking shit myself.
The cat, I was literally ready for that, because I feel like every second film nowadays does this cat scare in it. Yeah. So something's happening at the window, it's a cat. It's always a cat.
So, for anybody listening, you should watch that new Netflix show with Rob Lowe. He does like film like cliches.
Really good. Yeah.
And it explains the origin of the cat jump scare. Oh. Basically everything that we do in this podcast, it seems like Rob Lowe watched us do and picked up on it, because there's even a whole section on Wilhelm screams.
Yep, there is.
Which was definitely Chris's original idea.
And Rob Lowe's getting his when I, at our production meeting, have some new ideas for season 5 of the podcast that I may or may not have picked up.
We're going to steal shit off of Rob Lowe since he stole shit off of us.
Yeah, fair, I think. But yeah, it is literally, if you like this show in any way, shape, or form, look at that cliche thing on Netflix. They've got the right.
Yeah, Rob Lowe stole our idea. Same way as Tony Bell, who stole my other podcast idea. All famous celebrities come to this podcast, steal our ideas, and make it better.
Yeah, just because we don't have the outreach of a celebrity, we're just normal people.
Yeah, cash to make it better.
Well, that's true. We need more money. Donate.
Templepodcast.com. Anybody got any high points? I've still got a few to go, but they're not for.
I'm struggling with high points until I get to the very end. So.
Well, I can't like how you can't tell if George is like being possessed or if it's just him. Like, there's a point where he seems to be angry all the time, but then out of nowhere, he seems nice and helpful. And you don't know whether it's just because he's getting away from the house for a couple of hours or not, or what. I get you can't tell whether it's actually him being possessed or just it's him naturally.
I can't tell for the most part of the film of what the relationship is between him and his potential stepkids or his actual stepkids, where they seem to hate him, and he seems to be, why do they hate me so much? And then I don't know if that drives him to be like, oh, forget them, I'm sick of dealing with them, I'm just gonna be a miserable bastard, or whatever it is, the demon house. And then towards the end of the film, he goes and saves the day, so he's a good guy and all that. But yeah, it's I feel like it's never really explained or built up enough what this actual the friction is there. The kids never seem to moan about him too much. But,
I don't know if it just started from the house, because they seemed to like him before he got to the house, but then the house kind of twisted him.
I get all questions can't be explained by, oh, there's a demon in the house. And
and what's not to like? It had a boat house. It had a boat. The house. What? How many houses come with boats? Normally, you would have to buy that boat. You'd have the boat house, but then they got a free boat in it. This is a winner all around.
Also, they had like, what was it like? Oh, there's a tool shed down there, and you
which already looks like a house.
Yeah, you could turn it into a guest house. I'm like, oh, you could turn a shed into a guest house, and the camera pans around. It's like, it is a house. What do you mean? They turned the house into a shed.
Yes, they went backwards in this.
So
that's the high point is the dog.
Oh yeah, Harry the dog.
He's one of the best actors in this film.
Oh, yeah. Do you know what? I was waiting for the whole film for the dog to do something, because you could see how he started to growl at random things. I thought, he's got to attack one of the kids.
I could possess the dog.
It's a nice doggo.
Yeah, eventually attacked him, and he was covered in black goop.
He was helping. He was pulling him out.
One of my low points was leaving the dog chained overnight to the wall outside of the house. I didn't like that. I don't know how often that happens. I don't have a dog, but I feel like that's mean. Just like the poor dog's outside, but also chaining him to the wall. Bring him inside. Poor Harry being left like that. But they saved the day and saved him at the end. But yeah, the whole time I'm waiting for one time the chain's going to be there and the dog's not. I thought it was going to happen at some point. My next high point is George throwing the axe into the tree. I really like
that's quite satisfying.
I think that was probably after about 45 minutes of nothing happening at this point. So I was like, oh my god, he threw an axe and it hit something. Oh, he's been sharpening that for 20 minutes straight. Like, I'm so excited. Something happened. Oh my god. So yeah, him actually sticking it into the tree really made me excited. Then around that time, that's when Carolyn shows up. The kind of spiritual sort of. Is she the wife of his business partner? I think that's the relationship. I think that's what it is. She brought a bit of energy to the film, did Carolyn? She got nominated for, what was it, the Stinkers Bad Movie Worst Supporting Actress. I'm like, she brought a bit of life and a bit of enthusiasm to the film. And then she also went into the basement. Oh, there's someone behind the wall. Yes, Harry the dog knew the whole time someone behind the wall. And and then the pickaxe and we start chipping it. It's, oh my god, stuff's happening. It's the Red Room.
I'd be absolutely furious if like somebody came to my house and went, I'm going to go down here and just start chipping away at your wall.
But also, they take a big chunk of it. I would have maybe like hammered a little brick and went, oh yeah, there's something evil behind here. It's red and shit. Let's take the rest of the wall out. But they were just going for it. It's like, we're taking this whole fucking wall down. That could have been a supporting wall. Collapsed.
Yeah, I feel like they might just be at their wits' end at that point. It's like, nobody is happy here. There must be something wrong. But yeah, I feel like the film finally picked up around that stage.
See, I like the story with the whole the priest and the flies and stuff like that. However, it does annoy me that most possessions and houses and like demons, they're attached to a building. So did the demon send the flies out, and then is the demon allowed to go down phone lines and that now? Because all of that just ended up being a bit weird, and then I actually ended up liking it in the end.
What I don't get is, how did he hurt his hand through the phone? What was that? Was it just like a bite or what?
How do demons do it? They don't travel down phones. Zach Bagans has never said that shit before.
I mean, you've both completely not mentioned the car incident yet either.
Exactly. That was just a fly who just managed to cause chaos.
Yeah, almost like the bonnet of the car comes up and the steering wheel doesn't work anymore. It's like, what?
Yeah, demons don't have that kind of power. He can barely do anything in the fucking house. But he really hated that priest.
Yeah, he really had a proper problem with old Father Delaney there.
I didn't realise that's where, is it Scary Movie 2 or 3? Where James Woods on the toilet with the flies. I didn't realise that's where that came from.
No idea. My next high point is, again, I was grabbing exciting bits here. Kathy's nightmare, where she gets absolutely just murdered with the same axe. where she wakes up. She wakes up. No, he wakes up in the dream or something like that, and all of a sudden, just absolutely just kabongs her with the axe, and then she wakes up startled. But yeah, again, that was a high point again because something was happening, so therefore it became a high point for me.
My actual last high point before we get to the end is the picture by Chris with man, bear, dog, pig in the window.
Oh yeah, I didn't. Yeah, at what point was Jodie a pig? Because I didn't know. I thought it was just a child.
I thought it was a child. I didn't realize the suggestion was that was Jodie. I
It's
don't
a
know.
pig.
That's a pig. I know that's definitely a pig. I had no explanation for why it was a stuffed pig.
The little girl said, "Oh, Jodie's just gone," and as soon as she went to the window and you saw the red eyes, you heard a pig squeal. So I don't know. Apparently,
I reckon they were thinking goats. They're evil, but they couldn't get a goat, so they got a pig instead.
That was a bit of a shock, actually, when you saw the red eyes at the window and the loud, piercing music.
What annoyed me though was that it was like you could see outside the window and you could see there was trees and stuff, and when it cut with the eyes of it, it was just black, as if put a black bit of paper over the window. And
two random lights going in opposite directions.
Yeah. But yeah, I don't know. I certainly laughed when the pig appeared. I was not scared one little bit. I just bursted laughing.
I think that was Margot Kidder's reaction as well.
Yeah, I read that. Yeah, initially with the red light scene, it was a sort of it was a pig that's supposed to look like what it's supposed to look like, and she just it wasn't scared by it at all. So yeah, went with the eyes instead. And my final high point is just the final night where they finally have to just run away. Yeah. I enjoyed the blood pouring down the walls. I enjoyed the lightning hitting the house.
That's where they spunked all their budget.
Yeah, it was. But yeah, I thought
my high points. I shouldn't say it's a high point, but the kids falling down the stairs twice. Like the kid went down the banister, to the basement. That was an epic fail. He fell like loads of times, and then as he's coming down the stairs with the blood, he totally wiped out and face planted at the bottom.
Good old.
I'm a cruel dad.
Falling over. It's always a high point for him. And then I guess saving the dog at the end. I thought that was a nice touch. Where normally just the dog would have been eaten hours ago, so I'm glad the dog survived.
Yep. Any other high point? The end credits finally came up, and I was like, "Thank fuck for that."
Yeah,
it's been a long watch for nothing.
It was a long 2 hours, and I'm sure that'll be continued in our low points, point 3 on the podcast. What we thought
it was too long.
It was definitely too long.
It was way too long with no eye candy. Like the Ryan Reynolds version, you've got some candy in there to look at. Like scenes of him just walking in with his bathrobe on, the abs. There's something to look at.
Margaret Kidder gets her boobs out in one scene.
Doing a ballet thing, but just with one leg with the wrap on it.
I was confused by that. I don't know whether that's a thing or not. I just forgot to dress herself.
Yeah, I don't know ballet well enough, but yeah, it was weird what was actually going on. So maybe she's a ballet dancer. I feel like her background was not explored at all in this film. I do not know.
I just thought she painted Virgin Marys.
Maybe. So, hobby, I guess. I don't know. So my first low point I had written down was the priest just storming in and doing his stuff. How
many people just walk into this house and just do what they want?
Oh, they must be coming, bless it. I'm here. They've left it unlocked. I'm getting in. And I've got immediately afterwards, actually, he's meant to be there. It turns out the family just pissed off on a boat. Later on, you're like, I came round. No, you didn't. I was in all day. No, you were not, you liar. You all went off on a boat. That's where you went.
To be fair, if I knew a priest was coming around, I'm out of the house.
You also invited that same priest to come round.
Also, I would be out of the house if that happened.
Right.
It's like, get the demons out. I'm fine. I don't need to be blessed. I'm off.
Yeah,
he's under the mat. Sort yourself.
Yeah. And I've also got flies, disgusting flies just everywhere, which is horrible. I didn't need the flies everywhere. Also, I don't really understand.
I like the silent flies. That made it even more creepy when they went silent. And they're just looking at you, it's like, ooh,
again,
bastards.
Watching with headphones on, hearing the same fly sound effect looped 10 times on top of each other over and over again, it would do my head in as well. With the sound editing, sound production was not the best in this film.
That fits definitely in my first bit is the editing in general. In some places, just awful. Like the prime example is when the realtor is leading them up the stairs, and she just freezes while the gunshot goes off in the background. Then something else happens, and then it just starts moving. I thought the film had just broken, so I went back, and it happened again. But it just annoyed me because it just stopped. But,
Yeah, 1970s filmmaking.
yeah.
Anyone else got? Andy, you got any low points you want to mention? I think I've covered my earlier ones.
Pretty much the whole film. Like there's bits across the board here. But one of my biggest bugbears is what you kind of mentioned in your kind of high points is just the house and how many light effects they can put. Like, here's a house, here's it blue. Here's a house, here's it red. Yeah. Here's a house, here's it in the rain.
Yeah.
Here's a house, here's a lightning with blue flashing behind it. Like, I reckon if you cut out just the static house shots, this would be an hour and a half long.
Oh, yeah. Like, comfortably, you're taking 10 minutes of the film out if you took out... If you'd one, this is what the house looks like at the beginning, and then this is what the house looks like at the end. Take out the rest, you're taking 10 minutes out. It's like...
Right. So, yeah, there's too much house.
Right, while we're on the house, I'm positive Chris noticed this. So the storm at the end, importantly and noticeably in the film, lightning hits a tree and the tree smashes through the window of the house.
Yes.
Immediately afterwards, we get our obligatory, it's been 2 minutes, we've not seen the outside of the house shot, and the window's not broken anymore. And then the window's not broken for the rest of the film. That annoyed me.
Books.
But while I'm also, the house is just haunted by a demon. It could have fixed itself. And it's infuriating, this whole thing. But I believe they forgot that they'd broken the window.
Yeah.
I just edited back in outside shots in the house. But yeah,
I reckon the house can heal itself. It can bleed, so it can heal.
Yeah, it could bleed.
That makes sense.
Yeah, again, everything can be explained by demons. I did not enjoy the babysitter in the closet. Again,
just banging on for 5 minutes as well.
Having the outside brace is
amazing,
unsettling. I don't like it because you immediately ask her to catch on something. But yeah, she's in the closet. Oh, you've locked me in the closet. Less than 2 minutes later, she's knocking her knuckles bloody on the inside of the door. I was like, I think it would be a bit more than 2 minutes until you got to that stage. But again, she could be possessed by demons. Blah, blah,
she
blah,
might have needed a shit because when you get into that predicament, you're like, oh shit, the door's locked. Now you need the toilet instantaneously. It's like as soon as you've driven past a motorway services, it's like, oh shit. Next one, 50 miles.
Which corner is the best to use? But yeah, it annoyed me that she straight away was bleeding at the knuckles from being stuck in a cupboard.
I just hated all the priest stuff. Like, in the general, like, it starts off strong. It's like, oh, right, they're going to do some exorcism. But then it's just like, I don't need the subplot of every priest trying to like, oh, you can't do this and you can't do that. And what's with the Catholic Church just not doing exorcisms and stuff like that these days? Why do they always need to have super permission from the Vatican?
Priest pretty much acted exactly the same as he did in Jaws. He's like, fuck them. If they die, they die.
Right.
Yeah, Mayor Larry Vaughan. Yeah. I've literally got the whole Father Delaney storyline as a low point because
and the scene with the church and the face just floating down like a bit of paper.
I'm
blind.
Yeah,
I'm blind.
There's this real religious sort of storyline in the film that doesn't seem to fit with the other side. Like it never comes together to be like, right, that explains it and all. Because they never actually save the day; they just run away. So
they never even get close to the house again, apart from.
I just remember another high point. Nuns playing basketball. It's a high point.
It's a good hustle.
When they're playing basketball, a couple of nuns did a free throw.
I must have missed that.
One of the points where you were sleeping / skipping.
Yeah.
I had one, but
I've got one. The creepy neighbour. Like, he's been nominated to come and say hi.
Yeah.
Why would you send him, the guy who looks like a raper?
That's got one. Yeah, weird guy who comes to the door, then disappears, and then is never seen or mentioned in the film again.
Demon. He was the demon in human form.
Yeah, there was definitely something, like, she was, like, clearly Kathy's thinking something sinister going on with him. Like, he's not just there to say hello. But yeah, it seemed random and weird, and then, again, it never actually went anywhere at any point. But yeah, I didn't need that. I've already mentioned the demon pig, so my only other low point I've got is, I think it's when he's in the pub, George is explaining to his buddy everything that's going wrong. And one of which is, rooms full of flies at the wrong time of year. Okay, rooms full of flies, that would annoy me. So at some point here, he's expecting that many flies to gather in one.
I'll tell you what, there's been an infestation down in my house of flies, just randomly. It's like, where the fuck are these little bastards from?
Yeah, maybe don't go back to your house ever.
So yeah, it could be demon shit in there now.
Yeah, maybe. But yeah, you're not like, oh my god, I can't believe these flies in here. It's so annoying. Why are the flies in here? But yeah, that just really confused me why it specified the time of year. I think we've covered every other low point I had.
That's not really a low point, but I think at the stuff at the end when he falls down the stairs, if that was like blood instead of, I don't know, black tar or whatever it was, it would have elevated that scene 10 times.
Well, see, I'll bring it up now because it's not actually my moral of the story, but originally it was going to be my moral of the story, which was check under your house for an oil well, you'll be minted. Because that's pretty much what it seems like. It's probably the fumes of the oil reservoir that's under them. It's fucking them right up. That's my whole theory.
That explains it. There we go. Get in touch with the writer of the book and tell him what the solution was.
For fucking
is that it then? Is that it for the highs and lows?
Yeah, I think about.
Okay. On to stats then. Point 4, our statistics for the Amityville Horror. Shits. There were 2, kind of 1.5. Kathy kind of quietly mumbled at one time when she was looking at something, and the other one was the priest. That was funny. Bala Delaney. No F-bombs, no explosions that I can recall. Nothing really exploded. I don't remember anything.
Actually, lightning is an explosion.
Lightning, fair point. I'll give that a one for that. I was probably asleep at that point as well. 1.
We're really selling this film.
Deaths. I've only got the 6 from the beginning, the DeFale murders, because every other death was imagined, really. So I don't think they really count. If you want to count Kathy being banjoed with an axe in her dream, then 6 actual deaths, which are in fact actual deaths as well. Not many. Our quotas. Did we have a dead animal? No, we didn't. They saved Harry the dog, and I can't remember any other animal. I'm assuming some flies probably got killed at some point, but. Too many of them. Cows, we don't think so. Goats, probably would have been a goat rather than a pig if they'd had the budget. I don't think anybody defecated or peed or anything like that at any point. I think it was all pretty much normal.
Somebody definitely back up the toilet though.
Oh, yeah. I was just going to say that.
Yeah, oh, I don't know what's going on.
That's a proper Guinness shit, black and thick.
Fine when I left it. No paedophiles at all. The devil.
Oh, no, that guy at the door.
Like maybe I don't think it was the kids.
What a few priests.
Oh yes, there's a 50-50 chance on that one. That's the fact.
The devil. Was he here? Was he present?
I'd say he was.
Is that one of his minions? He's related.
Yeah, so some devil relation was there, present, and no sign of the KKK anywhere. I was stuck for something else to count. I wasn't really sure what to expect. I wasn't going to do horrors. I did that once before and it didn't really go well. So
check out his house.
I should have done that now. Think about it. If people keep vomiting, so how many times was someone going to vomit? And it was just the 4. It was like the guy that get the 3 times the priest and then the nun. And that was it. Nobody vomited.
It was so loud though.
Yeah. Yes, it was unusual. And did they say the thing? Did they say Amityville Horror?
No.
She did not. It's quite clearly just a title. They didn't actually say Amityville that often either. Chris, any stats from you?
Yeah, I counted how many times the creepy Jodie was mentioned, and it was 14 times her name was said and once written on a board, so 15 in general.
Oh.
That's what I had.
Before you go into any more stats, my question relates to your stat. You've got a few kids. Yeah. Do they have like imaginary friends?
Well, one of them mentioned. They were talking to the previous owner of the house, who happened to be
yes,
and it freaked me and Nicola right the fuck out.
Yes.
But it's never been mentioned again, so I don't know whether they heard us over talking about who used to live here. And
there's a 50-50 chance it's proper possessed. Because I'll tell you what, if I ever have a kid, they're not having an imaginary friend, like straight off. Shut that shit down because it's freaky as fuck. No imaginary friend ever comes out to be a good idea.
Give it a toy.
It's either a paedophile, real life person paedophile, that's their imaginary friend, or it's the devil.
Or it's devil possession, yeah, definitely.
It's never friendly and it's never just like, oh, it's just kids being kids. It's always sinister.
The film Inside Out, doesn't an imaginary friend save the day in that, or at least a significant? I think there's an imaginary friend.
All right, but have you seen him? He
Practice
looks a
does.
bit creepy.
Oh yeah, but I think he's certainly he's a good guy in the film. I think.
And he was a physical human being there in the end anyway, so a physical being, not human.
Yeah, fair point. And Andy, most pornographic scene? Any?
I struggled.
Yeah.
I would say when they were eating. There was some food in there,
When were they?
but that was about it.
They had
Oh,
a-
he was making something.
yeah.
There was the
Well-
wedding stuff. There was a bit of buffet.
Oh,
so,
right, yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, there was something in the kitchen. I don't know what he was cooking, but I can only imagine it was better than anything else.
Yeah.
Because Margot thingy's tits and that and that.
Doing our ballet might be the runner-up.
Nah.
Okay.
Actually,
then.
Man Bear Pig, he was pretty cool.
Oh, actually, yeah. It made me laugh. I'll say that much. Or
Yeah.
seeing James Tolkien again, I got a big thrill out of it. It's like the last scene of Masters of the Universe and the first scene of this film. Cool. On to point 5 then. Point 5 is the 10-point podcast quiz, and I've thrown
Fuck's sake, we're
I've
screwed.
thrown Chris a wild one here because he's too observant, and I've managed to find 4 questions throughout the entire 2 hours of watching this film. So I've done something different. This film is set in
Higher.
Amityville, Amityville, New York. So what I've done is I've gone back over all the films we've done before, and I found out that we've done a lot of films based in America, and they seem to be from a nice variation of all the different states in America. So I'm going to ask each of you in turn. I'm going to give you the title of a film that we've covered on the podcast. I want you to tell me what state it was in. If you want to tell me which city it is, I will take that like as the answer as well. I will try and be lenient where it is. The first couple, you've got one question each to start off with, where
Don't
it's
say they're easy.
several states, so you've got more chance. The first one's got 3 options, so I'll go to Andy first because Andy always struggles with the quiz. So Andy, first film, a state that Django Unchained happened in.
Mississippi.
That's where they ended up in Django. Chris, more than one option here as well. City Slickers.
Texas?
Incorrect. It was none of the 3 places where it was. It was New York, then New Mexico and Colorado. They went from New Mexico to Colorado. City Slickers. Right, so that's how it's going to work. Everything from now on is one state or city, if you wish, and I think they're all different. I've double checked and triple checked, and each one from now on is in a different place, so you can mark them off. So, Andy, me, myself, and Irene.
Alabama.
Rhode Island, I would
unfortunately-
have got that one.
Did you know what it was, Chris?
Rhode Island.
It was Rhode Island, yes, it was. Chris, Napoleon Dynamite.
Baltimore? I don't know.
It was not. It was Idaho.
Ah,
Andy, Clerks.
Oh, New Jersey.
Jersey, correct. Chris, Semi-Pro.
Florida.
No, it was Flint, Michigan. They were the Flint Tropics. That's why it's funny that the tropics is because they're from Michigan, like the least tropical place in America.
I
but-
said Florida, to be fair.
yeah, yeah, it's kind of a trick question. Andy, Casper.
There was some water.
Was
New England.
Maryport, wasn't it?
it was where I've lost it. It was Maine. So technically, that is
Oh, it means-
New England. 'Cause New England's not actually a state. So I'll give you half a point for that because you're kind of right.
Yeah, boy.
And also I'm going to give you a 3-0 lead. Chris, Tremors. We did very recently.
Is that Texas?
It was not. It was Perfection in Nevada is where it was. Andy, I've also realised you've got this one here. The Witch for you, Andy.
New England's not a state. What else is over
Well,
there?
you said New England, I will give you that because actually it is New England is where it was set because they couldn't actually nail down which particular state it was in. But at that
Good.
point, it was New England. So therefore, another point for Andy there. So 3.5 to
Yeah,
0.
boy.
Oh, he's absolutely destroying me.
Right, still plenty to go here. Don't worry. Office Christmas Party, Chris.
Chicago.
That's actually the city. Illinois was the state. Andy, Devil.
San Francisco.
No, it was Philadelphia, Pennsylvania. and that's because it was written by M. Night Shyamalan, and all his films are in Philly. So that was
Nobody
hard to
knows
remember.
that.
Back to Chris. The Goonies.
Was that Maryport?
I don't know what Maryport is, but it's not a state.
I thought it was like a city.
It wasn't Maryport. It was in Oregon, Astoria, Oregon, is where the Goonies was. Andy, how about the duck? Obviously, the bit on Earth, and not on the duck pond.
New York?
Do you remember, Chris?
No, I don't.
Cleveland, Ohio was Howard the Duck.
That's it, fucking hell.
Oh, brother, where art thou for, Chris?
Mississippi.
Yes, it was Mississippi. I said Mississippi after, from then on. So we had that before, but that was before I said everyone's different. So there you go. That's why I was a workaround. Andy, back to you again. Forrest Gump.
It could be any state. It
What
was
main-
everywhere.
Wrong then.
Alabama.
Alabama, correct.
Ah, I think.
Chris.
Greenbow, Alabama.
Hill.
West Virginia.
That's a good one. So it's 4.5 to 3 at the moment. So Andy's still in the lead. Jaws, Andy.
That's over there. That's near New England. I can't remember.
You're New England. Yes.
Fuck! I thought you was done.
Well, okay, yes. Chris knows what it was. Amity, New York. Again, this is Amityville Horror.
That's what I was going to say.
New England, which is the wrong answer.
I get that point because I didn't finish. You jumped in. I was looking at.
I thought you'd guess. I thought you said New England again. I'm bad for that.
No, I was like, it's over by New England. I was trying to think of all the states over by New England.
A potential half a point in lieu if Andy loses. Right, okay.
Right.
Chris, back to you. Gone Girl.
I don't know. South Carolina. I know it's a state.
Unlucky. It was a state. Missouri is what it is. They moved from the big city to his hometown in Missouri. One more question
I
each.
forgot whether we're going cities or states. That's why I'm just naming places.
Chris can't win now. So Andy, you're the last one. Blade, the first Blade.
Oh, this is the controversy one. Everybody thinks it's New York, but it's not.
Nope, you're right. Because Blade holds up a map.
If it begins with an I, is it I?
I know.
Nah, I was thinking Ohio.
No.
That begins with O.
There's an I in it.
That's what I meant. Illinois, I was thinking. Is it Illinois?
No, that's Chicago. You're going to kick yourself. You're kind of there. It's New Orleans, Louisiana, is what it is. So I think you were kind of half remember there. And the last one, which was the belter of a trick question to catch Chris out at the end, but he's lost anyway. Chris, where was Fargo?
Fuck, where's that blue state? It was Canada.
No,
was it? Bugger, what's it called?
Canada
Wisconsin.
State.
No, not Wisconsin. Fuck, what are they called? Vikings.
You're down the right route.
I can't remember what it's called now.
Anyway, Minnesota.
That was it.
Question because it's called Fargo, which is in South Dakota, but the film takes place in Brainerd in Minnesota. So that's my trick question. And the tiebreaker, just for lols, was going to be I excluded California from that. How many films have we done that are set in California?
6.
8.
10. We've done 10.
Oh.
Gone in 60 Seconds, Crank, The Running Man, possibly Idle Hands. That's where it was filmed, but it wasn't actually set anywhere. Hotel Artemis, Scanner Darkly, Fracture, The Room, Honey Shrunk the Kids, and Demolition Man are all set in California. So yeah, 10 of them. He wins the state quiz, so I don't know what you would call it. So success, I think, on that one there.
We butchered that one.
Yeah.
Ohio spelled with an I and Canada as a state.
Canada state, yeah. Yeah, obviously I excluded films that take place overseas, like The Mummy wasn't there, and Rock and Roll was set in London. Yeah, there we go. 20 different states, or 21 if you want to count California.
I was trying to think of the accent.
Yeah. Oh yeah. On to point 6. Movies within movies. Not much for me. It's an early kind of era film for me. So clearly, The Exorcist inspiration straight away with the priest coming to bless the house and all that sort of stuff. The Haunted Father with an axe. Maybe just think of The Shining the entire time. The Conjuring, because it's linked to that, to the Warrens from the Conjuring films actually came to do stuff with the Amityville Horror. They're kind of loosely involved with the house one way or another. And then Psycho, because at one point in the film, when there's a kind of scare happening, love the Psycho music. Yeah, it's quite clearly just the Psycho soundtrack. And what's never not good, another one I struggled on, but an axe to the forehead is never not good. That happens in the film.
Fucking hell, he's definitely killing some cunts now.
Possessed by this film, it's tons of murderous. Chris, movies within movies. Did you find any?
Yeah, so you've already been mentioned, like James Tolkien straight away, another back-to-backer.
Yeah.
Like I thought he was a cop, like you said before, right? Apparently he was a coroner.
Oh yeah, so he was telling them about what time of night they were killed. He was like, 3:15.
And bang on the money, apparently.
Yeah.
He's good at his job.
Any other?
Apparently the young priest played Chef Bill in Django.
I think that's the sheriff that our boy Christoph Waltz kind of does the scam with at the beginning when we first meet him going into the pub. I think that's who he played. So yeah, that one. And then you got one more for definite.
Oh yeah, the mayor from Jaws. Like I said, it's basically the same. Fuck it, if they die attitude.
Yeah, he was in Amity for that film and in Amityville in this film, and that's it. I've only got those three. I can't argue or find it.
Yeah, I've actually got it right for once.
Hey.
It's quite an easy one. It's not a big cast, I can't say. Did you recast this, Chris?
I did. I fairly obviously put myself as George because I could see myself turning into George at some point. Not with murder's intent, just I don't know.
I don't know. The kid's talking to dead people. That's first step.
I saw Bruce as the priest and Andy as the Jaws priest, basically telling them to man up. Bruce is just like, I heard a voice. You're like, man up. Deal with it.
I went kind of similar roles. I put myself as George. I just think, I don't know, long hair, beard, looks like he hasn't slept for a few days. That's pretty much my look, I would have said. So I'm being George, and also I do have a matching jumper on. A matching jumper to George. I gave you Jeff, Chris. He's like the business partner guy, the guy who's trying to tell me like how to. He sends, because I felt like Andy would be Father Delaney. I think I just had something about the two. I just like to see Andy dressed up as a priest. I think it would be a ironic look for him to be.
Aye.
Yeah, that's what I recast. Difficult because there's not too much charisma in the film. So
No.
difficult to recast this.
Andy,
Andy,
be like creepy neighbour actually with the beers.
oh yeah, that's some beer.
That's Sean.
Yeah. Andy, have you recast anybody?
Right. I take the devil or demon out and put Casper the Friendly Ghost in.
Yeah. Oh, that'd be much better. That would be a much better film.
What a banger of a film that would be.
Yeah, just mix the two together. Sticking with you then, Andy. Point 7 on the podcast is your trigger warning. So please beware anyone. Andy is going to trigger some people here.
Estate agents. They're cunts.
I think that's fair. Don't argue with that.
Like, every horror film pretty much starts off with an estate agent not disclosing a murder, and like murders have happened here. Why is it so cheap? Oh yeah, just they wanted a quick sale. It's like aye.
See,
I know what
thought about
happened.
that, but they had already known about it.
Hmm.
They were setting up.
Oh yeah, they definitely did. But she was still having to take commission. If that was me and somebody said, "Could you sell this house? People are dead, died in it." I wouldn't be one in there doing paperwork either.
Yeah.
So she was all about the money, but that's just the estate agents in general. They're just twats. They're all
Would
about
you
the money.
stay in a murder house? Say like the house of your
Yep.
dreams. Stupid
Aye.
tips, and you actually live there.
100%.
He'd want
I
right.
don't know if
No questions asked. I would 100% do it because I'd get Zach Bagans around. I'd get every TV company around. That house would become famous. I would market the shit out of that.
To the murder
So-
house. I'm sure there's some sort of pun in there involving murder house. When you mentioned, mentioned the estate agent, she is. I recognised her from somewhere. I've seen her somewhere before. She's the woman with the Save the Clock Tower charity tin in Back to the Future. Another Back to the Future reference today. Who I
That's
remember.
one Chris missed.
I've done Back to the Future.
Back to the Future. Yeah.
Oh yeah, I've watched.
I mentioned her on a podcast about, I don't know, a year or so ago, because she died the morning we did one of the news podcasts, and I was like, the only news I've seen is the woman who saved the clock tower. She died, so I was like,
Right.
that's her movie connection. She was in Back to the Future, and she was also in this. So I was like, yeah, a small-time actress to have two parts that stick in my brain like that.
But no, I just think in general, estate agents have the easiest job in the world. Somebody wants to sell a house, they go in, take 10% or whatever the fuck it is, and do nothing. Houses sell themselves.
Someone wants to buy a house, and
Did you like omit dodgy details? Say if the house is falling apart and that was your only house you had to sell, and you're going to get no commission if you don't sell it. Would you not say? They say, there's black mold behind the couch.
But they're not allowed to now. They have to by law is tell the truth. So they have to state everything is wrong with the house. They have to tell you, it's like, oh, it's got this, and like especially in the UK, I don't know what it's like in America, but like in the UK, you've got to do a survey. So they've got to tell you anyway. So literally, they have no job. It's not like they're wheeling dealing cars going, oh, you want to buy this model, it's because of this. They let you go, here's the house. Because pretty much if you're looking at the house, you've decided that house suits your needs.
Yeah.
It's not like they're trying to like be a fashion designer or whatever and go, oh, this would suit you best. This would suit your family. They're just like, this is the house. Give me 10%.
If I'd be a realtor, like if I was from somewhere in the house and they were like, if they didn't ask the question that was needed asked, and I didn't tell them, that's not my fault. That's their fault for not asking an important question.
Yeah.
Well, there is that, but still, it's still an easy job because all they have to do is tell the truth. House sells itself. Fuck them. Useless waste of spaces is what I'm going for.
Agreed. I feel like it might be a kind of business that goes by the wayside soon. There'll be somebody will invent a website where you can
Purple Bricks. They've already done it. We're not
Mhm.
sponsored by Purple Bricks, by the way, but if Purple Bricks do want to sponsor us, I hate real estate agents. I'll be on your ads.
We'll be the voices of the advert, I guess.
Yeah. Fuck people, fuck the middleman. Go to
You
Purple
can't put
Bricks.
that in an advert.
You can.
Purple Bricks.
They'll be shown after watershed hours.
Yeah. Just put cuss instead of that.
Yeah, I'll be like that compare the market guy, but just swear a lot. It'd be brilliant.
Yeah. With a little moustache and everything. Right, on to point 8, on to our nominations for the Pointy Awards for the end of the season. I'll just rattle through mine to
Shittest
begin
Film
with.
Award.
Have we got that? Oh, we do have that, actually, yeah. I'm sure it'll be in the running. Nomination, Best Death. Does the axe to the head count? I don't know if I didn't count it as a death, but I've got that in there. Most Unexpected, James Tolkien, again. No, I did not expect him. Worst Acting, something we've not mentioned yet. Mark Vahanian. He played Jimmy, the brother who got married in the film.
Oh yeah.
Dreadful.
Well, he just lost his money though. He was terrified.
Oh god, I forgot about that. Yeah.
What
I lost my money.
Why? That's another one. Why was the wedding stuff in the film? Why does it matter that the demon stole his money? Again, it's not necessary.
Just imagine
Demons
demons
have got
sitting
bills
there
to
going,
pay.
dala dala.
He's got hookers and blow to pay for.
So yeah, he played the role of Jimmy. Best Jimmy is most definitely not him. So James Tolkien is getting nominated again, back-to-back Best Jimmy nominations.
I know James Brolin.
Oh, curveball.
It's tough. I don't know. Yeah, I'll go. Yeah, James Brolin then, because James Tolkien's already nominated. Put him in there. Most underused, again, James Tolkien. He was in one scene. He's just about the best guy in the film. Best hair, James Brolin was definitely had glorious hair. Worst villain, Demon Pig. Worst costume / hair. Now I've opted for the Vision in the Red Room because that's not James Brolin. That's his brother with a fake beard on. And immediately I was like, why is James Brolin got a fake beard on to play himself? And then I learned it actually was his brother, and I was like, that's why it looks so bad. So he's worst hair in the Red Room. Most annoying kid is Amy, the little girl, talking about Jodie all the time. She was
I put it as creepiest kid.
Creepiest kid, definitely
And
annoying.
more than once. Any kid that can imagine your friend is creeps. Just creeps me out. Some one kid creeps me out.
Best plan, I've still got shooting people in a thunderstorm, but I'm open to hear other ideas. Best inanimate object is definitely the house. It's a great inanimate object. And then the worst plan, buying a murder house is the worst plan, but Andy seems to be convinced otherwise. Who else has nominations?
There's money to be made.
Yeah.
I've got nothing to add, but best exit, just leaving the house.
yeah. Just run away.
Just run away. I'm done. Gone. Yeah, I've got nothing else to add to your list.
I'm going to add to biggest jump scare, was her screaming in the middle of the night because
Yeah.
it came after a quiet point and I shit myself just about. So my best fashion item is George and Bruce's grey jumper.
Yeah, very, very fashionable
He
sweatshirt.
must have wore that with what for 20 days.
Yeah, it was on. It was just getting sweaty. The more and more sweat dripping around his collar the entire film. Oh, it was amazing.
That's me. I think most of mine crossover with yours.
Yeah, I don't think any of the main kind of actors and actresses were good at acting or necessarily bad at acting, so I didn't really want nominations and anything. So, yeah, just bits and pieces. On to point 9 then, the moral of the story. What we thought the lessons to be learned from the Amityville Horror were. Chris, what have you got?
Don't live in a murder house.
Don't live in a murder house. I've gone for house prices in the 1970s were very low. I thought was the moral story. And Andy, what was your moral story? You told me what your moral story wasn't, so what is your moral of the story?
Grab 2 tins of beer and go out and play.
Yeah. They missed the priest at that point. I think that's when they went off in the speedboat, was it that? On to point 10. The 10-point rating. Rating the movie out of 10. I've got reverse alphabetical order for here. So, Chris, you are first to rate this one.
I actually jumped during more for this version I did than the remake. And, like, I think I forgot to mention, but what bothered me was the inconsistent sound. Like, 1 minute it's quiet and then it's real loud, so I'm, like, turning it up and down all the time. And then I thought the ending was just a bit abrupt. But, like, I'd still watch it again. So I'd give it a 4.
4 from Chris. I've got so boring. Like there's just bits where just nothing is happening, and then there's little to no payoff. The bits that bored me the most were irrelevant come the end of the film. Like the priest's storyline doesn't actually matter, and then the whole thing in the end is, oh, we don't actually know what's wrong, and they just run away. And the house is still there, and the demon's maybe still there, and we don't actually know what it is or what happened, and the whole thing might not actually have happened anyway, it might be made up. And I spent an hour and a half wanting a man to kill his stepchildren with an axe. So therefore,
yeah, it's like there wasn't as much murderous intent on him than there was in the remake.
Right, okay.
Oh, Ryan Reynolds got some intensity about him.
So yeah, it put me in a bad place where I'm just like, please just kill somebody. So I can only go as high as a 2 out of 10 for Amityville Horror. Andy, what about you?
I'm split in the middle. 3.
3 from Andy.
This is going to be
like
in the news tomorrow.
It is long as fuck. It is just boring. The suspense is there, but then they could just cut bits out. An hour and a half film, it would been all right.
Yeah. I think you'd swap this with Venom in terms of length, and everything would be better.
I think horror films need to be shorter because if they go too long, you kind of lose the horror aspect of it.
Yeah, it's too much talking.
Or you build up some really decent suspense, but they didn't.
Yeah, there's no. I'm not thinking. Oh my god, that was like that scene where the two of them were talking about this, or like there was no scene. Oh my god, it was an amazing discussion that were happening, or like relationship. Someone might snap at any moment. There's nothing like that. It was just a case of someone just do something. So the official rating is a 3 out of 10 for Amityville Horror. That's pretty much what I expected going into the podcast, that it would be roughly around there. The themes I had guessing for the random wheel of randomness for the last time, because we've had Honey, I Shrunk the Kids, we have had Ready or Not, and we had something else I've now forgotten.
Forrest Gump.
I
think it was like a Bad Dads theme.
Yeah, I had Bad Dads, which this one... I don't know.
Yeah.
He's not a good dad necessarily, but he's not a bad dad. I had Business because he's like an inventor and he's at like in Honey, I Shrunk the Kids the whole time. Ready or Not, the board games. Then obviously Forrest Gump, the Bubba Gump shrimp, and he's all about, I need to get my business started up and all that. And another one was just families, which is a very, very broad thing. But yeah, families also hit here again. But yeah, none of those changed. I still think that's the common link. But
I just like the bad parenting just now because it seems to be
it definitely is bad parents.
Bad parenting.
The wheel of randomness is bad parents.
The link is bad parents. And there we go. That's it for Amityville Horror. On to next time, which is Chris's selection. And I cannot remember yet. I always forget whether we've worked out Chris's thing or not. Do we know your theme, Chris?
I don't know. I don't think so.
I don't think we have either. Because you
His main theme. His first one we did.
Oh yeah,
before you even started. So
I always forget whether we've got Chris's or not because I keep having the same guesses every time and thinking, we must have cracked it. So Chris, what's next?
So I'm going to go for a first. I have threatened this before. I'm going to pick a foreign film.
God.
I'm going to ride the coattails of Squid Game.
Squid Game, yeah.
I have seen it dubbed in English, so that's got you covered, Andy.
I'm out. VO,
So I'm picking
I'm out.
the 2010 Norwegian film Troll Hunter.
Oh, I've seen that.
Oh, fucking awful.
I've seen that, and I watched the dubbed version, I think. So I will
Yep.
try and watch the subtitled version.
Awful. One. Sorry. Next pick. We're random this.
we'll random this. So you've got that to look forward to. It's on Netflix. That's where I saw it. Is it on Netflix?
That's what I saw.
I think it's on Netflix.
I'm out. Not watching it.
And we'll watch something else in the next week.
But if I was like that for half the films you watched, we wouldn't have a podcast. You picked them.
Nope. Went into this knowing I wouldn't do foreign films. I'm out. VO'd.
You like
I'm watching
Squid Game?
something else. I'm watching something else.
Right. You watch the Trolls movie, Andy. Watch that. Okay, there you go. Troll Hunter, for those of you taking part next time on the 10 Point Podcast. And we'll see you in 7 days' time for that.